45 seconds.
Awesome.
KHYI 95.3 The Range. You can see them at Texas Music Revolution 26, presented by Thomas Auto Group, happening June 3rd and 4th, downtown McKinney. We're announcing the full lineup today. More than 100 bands over the course of the weekend. It's going to be a big time. Well, there's a festival going on this weekend called the Earth X Festival, and somebody we've been playing is playing there. We've been talking about all morning that she's going to be dropping by the studio. Emily Scott Robinson is here. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody.
So,
it's good to be back in Texas.
So it's nice to finally get to meet you.
Yes.
We've been playing the music and love the song. I think I have an affinity for it because I was born in Arkansas. So when you mentioned Little Rock at the beginning of the song, I think,
Yeah.
It kind of spoke to me.
Absolutely. I mean, I've always wanted to, I'll maybe play the song and then talk about this one in particular, but I've done a lot of driving, Chuck.
Yeah.
I was telling you I came from Colorado. That's where I live, and I have Colorado plates on my car. And one time I was on tour, and I was leaving Texas and driving into Arkansas, and there was like a state trooper who was just riding right behind me for a while, and I knew he was trying to figure out a way to pull me over, and he finally put his lights on. I mean, I saw him behind me. I'm going exactly the speed limit on I-40, being so careful.
But you had Colorado plates.
But I had Colorado plates, and I pull over, and he, asked for my license and registration, and then he comes back and he said, "Well, ma'am, I see you're from Colorado. Are you carrying anything with you that might not be legal in the state of Arkansas?" And I said, "No, sir. I just have a bunch of CDs and vinyl. I'm on tour." And he eventually ended up asking me if he could find my music on Spotify.
Well, there you go. So at least you gained a fan out of it, right?
Exactly, I did.
One fan at a time. That's the way you do this.
Totally.
So let's go back. How did you get started and decide that this is what you want to do? I was reading the inside of the album, and I know at one point you told your husband, "I'm quitting my job and we're doing this."
Yeah. So I used to be a social worker before I was a full-time musician. I've been playing and singing since I was in high school, but I never really imagined it would be a career for me. And then I went to this amazing songwriting workshop in my mid-20s, and it opened up a whole world to me. I got to meet a lot of independent touring singer-songwriters who were doing the thing on the road, and I got to see that was possible. And so a couple years later, I finally quit my day job, and we moved into an RV and took off and lived in an RV for 4 years, traveling around the country as I was playing shows and building up my fan base.
Well, in a state like Texas, people can just tour just Texas and make a really good living doing what you're doing.
I know. Texas is its own economy of music, and it's like a whole different country. It's so wonderful. And the thing I know about Texas and have learned over the years is that Texas loves songwriters and storytellers.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, and Texas is good to their musicians. So it's really good to be back. It's been, I haven't played in Texas since 2019.
So before the pandemic was the last time you got to play in Texas.
Yeah, it's so, I mean, I've missed being here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Texas does a thing in Colorado too. In Steamboat, every January there's a whole big thing in Steamboat, Colorado.
That's right.
The party in the Rockies every year.
Yes,
right?
I forgot about it. Yeah, that's
So you could join up with the Texas folks there too.
Well, it's funny too because you would think it would be the other way around, that the Coloradans would do things in Texas in January in order to get out of the snow.
We
but-
hate the heat.
Yeah.
Because in January, we're still playing golf in shorts here in Texas.
Exactly. Exactly.
Well, let's get you to perform something. We've got a guitar. You've had some water. You've hydrated your voice.
Yep. Yeah.
You've tuned
Yeah.
the guitar. I think we put you to work.
I've tuned the guitar. I have not tuned my voice, but
But it's a rehearsal for tonight.
Yeah, it's perfect. This is If Trouble Comes A-Looking. All right. What is there in Little Rock at the Hilton Doubletree? Just a woman far from home, 1,000 miles out to sea. She walks over to the window, pulls the curtain shut, pours 3 fingers of whiskey in a flimsy plastic cup, sits down on the bedspread, takes off her wedding ring. If she does something dark enough, he might just set her free. It's her mother's diamond in a shining golden band. Another woman who spent most her life loving the wrong man. If trouble comes a-looking, she won't be hard to find. She's sitting in the hotel bar on her second glass of wine. She put a pretty dress on, wiped the tears out of her eyes. And if trouble comes a-looking, she won't be hard to find. Just 2 floors down is Brother John from Our Lady of Grace. He is older now, but handsome still, with such a lonely face. They pick a hotel off the interstate, where even God won't find him. Runs his fingers through the rosary, and locks the door behind him. How was Christ so perfect? How on earth did he resist the perfume on a woman's neck, the softness of her lips? He burned and burned for years with the fire of devotion, but some things are impossible to stop once they're in motion. Trouble comes a-looking, he won't be hard to find. He's sitting in the hotel bar on his second glass of wine. Across the empty room he glances up to meet her eyes. And if trouble comes a-looking, he won't be hard to find. Till the bartender will make the final call, and she'll slip down off her stool and sway slowly down the hall. And he'll kiss her like she always wanted, back against the wall. And she'll step out of her dress looking like Eve before the fall. Trouble comes a-looking, they won't be hard to find. They're tangled in each other's arms in room 229. They never strayed this far into the shadows of the night. And if trouble comes a-looking, they won't be hard to find. If trouble comes a-looking, they won't be hard to find. Not every infidelity is bound to end in shame. She'll smile 1 month later when a letter bears his name. Brother John is gone to France and Italy to travel, where all of his ideas of God will happily unravel.
Emily Scott Robinson live in studio this morning. That's a great song. I mean,
Thank you.
It's also like a great cheating song, right? Everybody's got to have a great cheating song
For
in the
sure.
repertoire.
Yeah, and I really wanted to explore an example where like I wasn't writing a lot of shame into the narrative. Like, you know, good morning, whoever is listening on their morning drive, that's your morning coffee. But I wanted to explore a narrative where they found like love with each other in these just really pivotal moments of their lives, and their lives did not blow up because of it, because we have this narrative, of course, that like, you know, that infidelity must ultimately lead to destruction. And I just was like, well, what if I write a song where that doesn't happen? You know,
Yeah.
and where everything is actually totally okay, and they awaken something within each other that's important in their lives. And so yeah, that was a very fun one to write. Once I understood the direction I was going in, I got really excited.
Well, the album is called American Siren,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And it's out on John Prine's Oh Boy Records, the late
Yes.
John Prine, who is
Yeah.
probably arguably one of the most greatest songwriters ever.
100%. Yeah.
You know, his songs speak to so many people in so many different ways.
Absolutely. This is something that I would like to think that John would get a kick out of that song.
Yeah.
I never got to meet him in person.
Aw.
But because I signed with Oh Boy after he'd already passed. You know, John really, I think probably every songwriter I know, and probably every songwriter in Texas, John is like he's a teacher to all of us about how to tell a story and just how to appreciate the world. At one point in time, I heard Fiona, his wife, say, you know, John really loved people. And I think that to be a songwriter and a storyteller, you kind of have to love people and just love them with their flaws, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
John's characters were full of flaws, and they were so human. And so, yeah, I think about that a lot when I'm writing.
So besides John, if you had to pick two other songwriters to
Mm-hmm.
create your trilogy or your triumvirate or your trinity of songwriters, who would those other two songwriters be?
Okay, well, I'm in Texas, and so I gotta give a shout out to Nancy Griffith, who I grew up listening to and love. You know, was so sad when she passed away this past year.
Yeah.
I think I got a lot of I'm really influenced by her music and her storytelling as well, and her ability to craft a melody. And then, you know, it's so hard to pick another one, but probably Joni Mitchell,
Okay.
which, you know, I'm a little bit more in the country vein, a little bit more traditional, but Joni, you know, a friend gave me Joni's Blue when I was 16, which is sort of the perfect time in someone's life to listen to Blue for the first time. At least it was for me, and it just has been with me. Okay, I do have to say another. She's not a Texas native, but she lives here now. Patty Griffin is a huge influence of mine too. I love Patty so much. Yeah.
So those are your four.
Those
we
are my
got your
four.
quartet.
Yes, my quartet.
You
Yeah,
gotta have
exactly.
John in there, right?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, I would have to put Towns and Guy in there
Definitely.
too, right?
Yeah, for sure. Towns for me. I didn't listen to as much Guy Clark. I didn't really listen to any Guy Clark growing up. You know, for some reason, my mom just the only Texas songwriter she listened to was Nancy Griffith, and so I didn't really learn any of Guy Clark's music until later in my life. But absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the wisest words he ever said is three chords and the truth, right?
Yep,
I mean, for every
exactly.
songwriter, that's the best advice he's ever given, just three chords and the truth.
Yeah, and I think that That's such an important truth to return to. I think one of the reasons I'm sure you all listen to The Range is that you like music that is good.
With no rap beats and that kind of
or
stuff,
even
you
just,
know.
well, or just there's nothing wrong with rap beats, but it's what
Well,
it is
not in
is
country
like,
music though.
well, I guess what I was going to say is the thing that matters to me most about country music is the truth, right?
Yeah.
I couldn't care less about a room full of people trying to generate another top 40 hit and doing it. I call that doing it backwards, right? Sitting around in a room and going, what is popular right now and how can we create more versions of the same thing? And that's a lot of, I think, what drives like commercial music in general is
Yeah.
people trying to reinvent the wheel and go, what's working? Let's make something else that sounds like that. And you know, if I hear one more freaking song that is about like girls and trucks and beer and short shorts and sitting in the front seat of a truck, I'm going to lose my mind. I have a theory that there's like a magnetic poetry version of country music.
Oh,
and
like
they
the
just-
ones where you put it under a fridge and you just change the words.
rearrange the words, and I'm like, you guys got it. Y'all got to start. Go back to Three Chords and the Truth. Tell me something in a song that is true. Tell me something brave. Tell me something risky. I'm tired. I'm
All
tired
right.
of the yeah.
Advice from the cheap
Yes,
seats.
Exactly.
See what I'm doing there? See
it's
what I'm doing?
perfect. Yeah. So this next song is about being like a young songwriter and grinding it out and like still working your job as a waitress and hoping to make it and trying to remember what matters in the midst of that grind.
All right, and it's called Cheap Seats.
It's called Cheap
I was
Seats.
trying to lead
Yeah.
into that. I mean,
Yeah.
you gave me like the perfect intro into that.
Yeah, that's perfect. All right, this is Cheap Seats. Okay. Oh, I've been right where you are, putting miles on my car, driving to some dead-end job each day, smiling for my tips, picking up those extra shifts, waitressing all my best years away. Some nights I'll buy a ticket and sit alone in the mother church up in the highest row. I'm in the cheap seats, watching the big show, hoping that one day I'll look back and know that every big dream and every hard prayer and every long road would deliver me up there, singing for the cheap seats, singing for the cheap seats. Halfway through a busy night, I get a song idea to write, and I slip out back to get the chorus down. Now table 28 is complaining about the wait, and my manager just shakes his head and frowns. I won't let them have the best of me. One day I'll quit this job and then they'll see. I'm in the cheap seats, watching the big show, hoping that one day I'll look back and know that every big dream and every hard prayer and every long road would deliver me up there, singing for the cheap seats, singing for the cheap seats. I'm so hungry I can taste it. Want so badly just to make it. Got 1,000 songs inside me left to write. Gotta find my voice and use it. Set true north and new tell that girl what I know, that every big dream and every hard year and every long road would deliver me up here, singing for the cheap seats, singing for the cheap seats. Yeah, here's to the cheap seats. Yeah, here's to the cheap seats.
Emily Scott Robinson, Cheap Seats, and thank you so much for
My
coming in this
pleasure.
morning and playing for us.
Thank you so much for spinning my songs, and thank you for having me in the studio this morning. It's just such a delight. It's a great way to start my day.
So you're playing the EarthX Film Festival
I am.
tonight here in Dallas.
Yep.
What time? Do you know what time you take stage?
Yeah, I take stage at 7 p.m. It's at Moody Hall.
Okay.
And it's going to be lovely. It's just going to be me and my old guitar.
And then in June you're heading to Europe to do a
Yes.
tour.
Oh my gosh, with the whole Oh Boy Records crew.
Wow.
I'm so excited. I don't know if y'all know this, but they friggin' love country music and songwriters over in Europe.
They do.
And the UK. And
Especially independent, more so.
Yes.
The independent songwriters are bigger in Europe than the big guys are.
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, they don't have any tolerance for commercial country over there.
Neither do we.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why we do what we do.
Totally, same. Yeah, they just love like Americana country songwriters, and I know they love. There's a lot of Texas songwriters who do really well over there. So I'm excited. I'll be in some Scandinavian countries. I'll be in Hamburg and Amsterdam. 2 shows in London. One in Manchester, one in Glasgow, Scotland, and then we'll round out the tour in Dublin.
I actually own land in Scotland. My
What?
wife got me 1 square foot of land so that I could be a lord for Christmas this year.
That's
So
the
I
best
actually
Christmas gift ever.
right. So I actually own land in Scotland. Now,
Oh my God, that's amazing. Are you Scottish?
No,
Oh, well, my middle
I
name
just
is
always wanted to be
Scott.
lord.
I love that. Okay, so now we have to refer to you as Lord Chuck.
Lord Chuck. There you go.
Yes.
His lordship approves.
Amazing.
I can start talking to myself in third person too.
That's incredible. Please keep doing that.
So great to have you in this.
Thank
morning.
you so much for having me here on the range. It was a pleasure. Thank you all for listening out there.
And go to EmilyScottRobinson.com. You can get the record right there, and go see her when you can.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank
Have
you
a great
so much.
day.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
Oh, thank you so much.
No.
That was wonderful.
Thank you. Let me.